Hi again then guys, and so we've got another Gran Turismo 6 drag spec build for you today, and this time it's for a relatively underappreciated drag car, but a pretty surprising one actually. You can shock quite a few people with this car in online lobbies. It's the new shape Volkswagen Beetle RSI, so you want your racing soft tyres. For suspension we've increased the ride height to 120 front and rear, springs to 650 on the front, 6 on the back. For dampers, same as usual with these all-wheel drive models, 4 on the front and 1 on the rear, and then 4 for both for extension. Anti-roll as high as possible, camber and toe neutral to get as much tyre contact to the road as possible. For the gearbox, we want an auto setting of 180. Then for first gear we've got 3.3, second, third, fourth and fifth all the way to the left, and sixth on 0.725 with a final drive of 3.4. For the diff, we've got the highest initial torque, highest acceleration and lowest braking, and a torque split of 40-60 on this one. All the power upgrades of course, and I would definitely recommend using NOS, and I will be using NOS on this run as with all of my drag tunes. And of course you want the full weight loss package. Traction control is turned off. You definitely want it turned off. There's pretty much no car that you should ever have traction control turned on with. And I am using an auto box, so if you do choose to use manual, you will of course be slightly quicker than this. Now, as always, we're putting it up against what is on paper superior competition. In the case of this time, it really is superior. We're putting it up against the Pontiac GTO, and that car's got over 900 horsepower. Both cars are using racing softs and NOS. So let's see how they compare. So of course off the line the all-wheel drive does give the Beetle an advantage, but still, that Pontiac's got around double the power. So that's pretty impressive that the Beetle could hold off the Pontiac for around 600 metres. So for instance for the quarter mile, it's the perfect car, perfect sleeper car. I mean, it's technically not a sleeper because it's actually quite eye-catching, but it's a sleeper in as much as people don't expect it to be as fast as it is. And it's actually a really, really quick little car for its power. It's technically a hot hatch, of course, and it's one of the quickest hot hatches in the game off the line. And if you haven't tried the Beetle for drag racing in the past, I would definitely recommend that you give it a try, because it's a really surprisingly good little car. Now, as always, there are far too many specs to read out for this one, so I'll list those in the description below. But for the highlights, and some of these are crazy for a car of its power, and just for a Beetle in general, this car will hit 60 miles per hour in 1.6 seconds, which is crazy fast. It hits 100 miles per hour in 3.9, which is still supercar territory. It does the quarter mile in 8.9, and it will even cover the 5,000 metre drag in well under a minute. It's actually about 56 seconds it will cover the 5,000 metre drag in. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this car for long distance drag racing. Against hot hatches, definitely it can, because as you can see, it cruises at around 220 even without NOS. But I wouldn't recommend putting it up against long distance sports cars or supercars. But over, say, the quarter mile or 600 metres or 1,000 metres, or even up to, say, 1,600, which is the standing mile, which, incidentally, it does in 22 seconds, I should say, which is still very quick for a car of its power, then I would recommend it for short distance drags, especially against other hot hatches. So if you decide to use this car for drag racing, which, as I said, I would recommend, and if you decide to fit this tune to it, I hope, of course, you find it helpful, and it is definitely competitive and really fun to use in online lobbies, because it really shocks people how quick this thing off the line is. The only problem is, with using it, some people will probably think you're a hacker, because a Beetle that does 0 to 60 in 1.6 seconds, I mean, you've just seen it happen, and it's still hard to believe that it can do that. So people in online lobbies, I get accused of being a hacker all the time. So don't be surprised when that happens. But if you're new to the channel, or just found this helpful in general, feel free to subscribe. I put out new drag tunes like this every weekend. plus new top speed tunes and various other tunes in the week. And as always, thanks for watching.